Hello and welcome to our update of the 1001 Red Wiggler cocoon bin. Today is a really exciting day because we are going to be splitting this bin. So I'm not doing it to grow my population. I have more than enough worms, but typically that's why you would do it, is to increase your worm population as well as the size of your worms. They do tend to regulate their population very well. So basically they will not outgrow a bin. They will just stop laying cocoons and they can even shrink in size. So if you want to keep the size on them and keep them laying cocoons, then you would split a bin. I have my bin prepared. It was sitting and building up microbes for the past 2 weeks. So they are not going into an absolutely sterile system. I'm sure they'll be perfectly okay. So as I'm turning this material over, it looks like there's just a few worms on this side of the bin. So probably there are more on this side. And there you can see a lot more castings on this side as well. And of course that we also fed on that side. So of course, it is to be expected that they would be there. So the division that I'm doing today is really a, how do I put it? It is the same worms that hatch from the cocoons. In other words, if you start with 1,000 mature worms, they would lay cocoons. You would then, if you decide to divide the bin, there would be some adults, there would be some babies and things like that. This is, I think, first generation cocoons. So these are all worms that have hatched from the original cocoons and have just matured here. So I'm dividing that very first population. And they actually made good work of the food that I put in there. You remember those stinky watermelons? I don't see any watermelons. They left the skins. There they are, the skins. They love those watermelons. Not even gonna get a worm ball out of these guys. Well, if I can't get a worm ball, I can't really divide, can I? I need you guys in a nice big worm ball for me to be able to take a chunk of you and put it in the other bin. Well, you know what? We're going to do that anyway. We'll just take a handful or 2 or 3 and we'll put you in a new bin. This is the new bin. And this is about 14 gallon. I have here the bedding, the moist bedding that has been sitting here, building up the microbes. And it consists of shredded paper, shredded cardboard, a little bit of coconut coir, some alfalfa meal, coffee grounds, and pulverized eggshell. So the usual. And I don't have absolutely any drainage holes in any of my bins. I also don't drill any holes on the outside. If they crawl, I'm always worried that they're going to crawl out through one of the holes. What I do is cutouts. I do large cutouts and then I tape some fabric, like a fine mesh over it, mosquito netting or screen, whatever. And that's how I get a lot of air into the bin and I keep it covered. So that's what's been working for me and that's what I'm using. So let me grab a couple of more handfuls in here. And we'll just plop them over here. There should be plenty of worms to start this bin off. And there should be more than enough worms to keep this bin going. And that's about it. That should do it. So what we're going to do, yeah, more than enough worms here and more than enough worms there. Okay. And by the way, who remembers the apple? Now we have skins left. Can't believe how long it took that thing to decompose. Oh well. So we'll feed both bins up. I'll give this one its regular feeding, and then the new one, I will give a small feeding, just so that they'll have something decent to munch on. Favorite watermelon. They seem to like that a lot. So that's what they're going to get. Eggshells. Cover it up. And we'll mark it. And these guys are done. And now we're going to do the same thing here. We're going to just create a little pocket here in the center. Give them some nice juicy watermelon. Typically, dividing a bin is much easier. You have a lot of mature worms. You give them some kind of tempting food. They all congregate to it. You just grab a handful and you put it in a new bin. It's as easy as that. And that is it for these guys as well. I'm sure they'll settle in and be about their business in no time at all. So we can call them mother and daughter, but typically I would say sister bins because I think they're siblings. So we'll call them the sister bins, the red wiggler sister bins. Thanks for joining me, and we'll see you next week.